surely, if he's a non-working royal, then surely he shouldn't be afforded protection paid for us, the taxpayer, in this country.
The real problem for Harry now is he has a tough task to prove to anyone in this country that he is really very worthy. He really has let the country and his family down.
I'm at the point where I'm wondering whether Harry is entitled, ignorant, or just stupid, or like a toxic combination of the three. You are not that special. I'm sorry, he needs to accept it.
This chapter's closed. People are done. People don't care anymore.
Yeah. Prince Harry has revealed that he was forced to leave the UK 3 years ago as he battles with the Home Office in the High Court.
Well, the Duke of Sussex is challenging the decision to downgrade his publicly funded security detail after he quit as a working royal back in 2020. Kinsey, is this just more of what we've heard before, or actually is Prince Harry slightly changing his story?
Well, that's a great question. I feel like he's exaggerating it a bit, because a year ago at this time, as we're getting ready for Catherine and her Christmas concert, the royal family was having to deal with Harry and Meghan's Netflix series, where Harry said to the cameras that he felt bullied by Prince William, and that's why he chose to leave step down as a member of the royal family, step down and move to the United States of America. He also said he did it because he felt like that's something his mother, Princess Diana, would do. So I do feel like there's been an evolution in this story. It's become a little bit more aggressive. The only way I can see him truly feeling forced out of the royal family is the Frogmore eviction, which, you can rent a new place. Go rent another place if you want to have a home in the UK.
I mean, it seems to me that Harry doesn't know the meaning of the word truth. He seems to change his story every single time he is in the public domain. Also, surely, if he's a non-working royal, then surely he shouldn't be afforded protection paid for us, the taxpayer, in this country. We didn't force him out. The royal family actually didn't force him out. That's what they say. They say they were shocked when they made that decision to leave.
Not just shocked, but Harry and Meghan had plans. They strategized their exit. They had purchased multiple domains. They had secured multiple social media handles. I mean, Harry and Meghan were slowly planning this behind the scenes while they were in Canada over the holidays, shortly before they announced their exit. I think that Ravik's getting kind of I think that they are saying that it's a case-by-case basis. They're not saying, Harry, you're on your own, figure it out. They're saying, if you want to come over, we're going to look at your circumstances and we'll determine whether or not you get the security that you want. They're not saying that he is constantly in jeopardy and he's always going to be alone. They're just saying, could you give us a heads up, and we'll determine based on what your plans are, how or if we're going to protect you. And I think that that's fair.
What do you make of the claims issued by his lawyers yesterday in the High Court, my friend?
Well, not much, I must say. I mean, the real problem is that Harry is an outcast now, and I think most people in Britain would be quite happy if he never returned to these shores until he begged for forgiveness. So the idea that the British taxpayer should provide expensive protection from him from we don't know what threat in any case is ridiculous. And I think that he is just on some sort of vanity exercise, paying lawyers to just promote his profile. But hopefully the judge and the court will agree with the Home Office that wherever Harry does need protection, he should rightly get it. But the idea that he should be able to arrive in Britain with armed bodyguards, or that the British taxpayer should pay a lot of money to protect him from an unknown threat is just ridiculous. And he should really stay out of the courts on this issue. That it's not perceived that a man who is not a working royal, who lives in America, should somehow be able to pay for protection when he wants it. That doesn't work like that here, thankfully. And the real problem for Harry now is that in the wake of the Scobie book and all the rest of it, he has a tough task to prove to anyone in this country that he is really very worthy. He really has let the country and his family down.
People said to him, or commented at the time when they left Britain that is going to be one of your biggest costs, security.
Yeah.
And having to cover those costs themselves might actually be ruinous.
Yes.
And you just wonder, did he adequately consider that, or did he just take it for granted that that protection would be provided?
Yeah. I think the trouble with Harry, Rafe, is that he takes for granted that all sorts of things are going to be provided for him, whether he is part of the royal family or not. He clearly thinks that he's entitled to an awful lot of stuff, doesn't he?
If you want the perks and the privileges, you have to do the duty and do the work that comes with it, you know? And this is all a complete nonsense, actually, because he is getting protection. If he comes to attend royal events, he will receive royal protection. They have bespoke protection plans for him, depending upon his needs. But he has such an inflated impression of what he needs and his importance. Remember, at the coronation, we had the President of France very happy to come over. We had the First Lady from the US very happy to come over. And yet Harry couldn't bring his children along because it wasn't safe enough. If it's good enough for the President of France, I think it's good enough for Meghan and so forth. And, of course, America's far more dangerous than Britain is. And he's quite happy to have his own security
he's gone
there.
to seek refuge, hasn't he, Ryan, in one of the most dangerous countries in the world, where more people have got handguns than they've got sort of toy chocolate bars or whatever it is. You know, it's ridiculous.
I think on balance in this country, if he's only coming in for a few days, I think the police should be with him, or not I say all times, but certainly when he's travelling about. This is a guy who, you know, served in Afghanistan. It's very, very finely balanced, and you know, if he walks out on the street, you know, someone could, you know, do something, you know, that they shouldn't do. So I think give it to him when he's here. If he's only here for a few days every year, it's not. I don't see an issue. Probably not a massive cost. It'd be more embarrassing if something did happen to him and the police didn't act.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
What do you make of these claims issued by Harry's lawyers yesterday? It's another one of those, you know, which side of the fence are you on with this? What do you see as it, Rupert? What's the truth?
Well, what the truth is, Harry feels that he should, because of his status, whatever you think about him cutting back from the royal family, still be afforded the same level of protection just because he is actually a member of the royal family, and because of that is someone who is vulnerable in terms of his security. And he believes he should have the same level of security. He's not happy with the way the decision was made to cut back on his security, believing that due process wasn't carried out. But for the case of the defence is saying, look, we cannot make exceptions to him, given that he's no longer a working royal, and that it would be unfair because other people would say, well, they're a high-profile person, they should also be afforded a higher level of security. So that's where it's toing and froing. But obviously, Harry, again, feels that he should have the same level of protection as all other members. Well, the main working royals, he should have the same level of protection.
And Rupert, of course, he has offered to pay for this level of protection out of his own pocket. Can you just give us some information and some insight on how Harry's protection currently compares to Prince Andrew's protection, another member of the royal family who is no longer a working royal?
He is on the same level. The trouble with, in many ways, Harry would say, is that the Duke of York is living in Windsor, which, as you know, Jeremy, will have a high level of protection anyway, given the fact that the future king lives there, Windsor Castle is there, and other members of the royal family are in close proximity. Where the problem lies for Harry is they will look at his case on a sort of case-by-case basis when he comes to this country. But they need to know his diary. And one of the things they're saying is that we don't really know when he comes to this country what he's going to do. So we can't necessarily work out the security threat that his visit's going to pose.
Couple of things. Very quickly, Diana lost her HRH. Did she still have security?
I think she did. But again, you saw what happened in Paris. I think there was the same level, but I think we're in a different era now. And actually, Harry, to some extent, has some case for his position because of his status within the royal family. Not that he's not a working royal, but just because he is the son of the current king.
But if he's prepared, I don't understand why we're doing this. If he's prepared to pay for it, what is it? Is it information between the police and his security? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, it's using Metropolitan Police resources to pay them. And that's the problem, because they say once we do it for Harry, then we'll have to start doing it for lots of other people in similar circumstances to Harry.
I'm at the point where I'm wondering whether Harry is entitled, ignorant, or just stupid, or like a toxic combination of the three. Because I don't understand how, I don't know if you remember from the Netflix documentary, that image of him, this is the freedom flight, right? So it didn't look like he was, you know, being forced out. It looked like he was actually very happy to leave, especially if he was being tailed by Netflix cameras. But that's besides the point. I don't think he actually understood the magnitude of the decision that he was making and how rushing it in the way that he did and being private about it and effectively dismissing his whole household was going to have the kind of repercussions it was going to have over him and his family. At the end of the day, the overarching argument here is we cannot set a precedent where the police are basically security for hire because of your perceived status. There are very many famous people in this country that receive threats and face threats on a daily basis that do have private security details that are also assisted by the police when it is necessary. And unfortunately, if you are not a working royal, that is how your status is downgraded to. You cannot keep arguing that you somehow have a special place in the sky because you want you and your blushing bride Meghan and your 2 kids to come to this country. I don't even know why, but that's on him, and force the UK to effectively set this precedent. You are not that special. I'm sorry, he needs to accept it.
People are fed up with it, you know, because their lives are an awful lot better than most people's lives. Their house is a lot bigger, you know, their car is a lot better, their private jets are a lot more expensive than the way most people travel around the world. And, you know, most people are going, you've got nothing to complain about. What's wrong with you?
And they're so stuck in the past. You know, we are looking to try to figure out how to improve our lives day to day. I watch your show often, listening to you talk about the migrant crisis, the cost of living, heating or eating. Those are real world problems. And we, as regular people, are figuring out how to navigate this world in some really tough circumstances. While Harry and Meghan seem so fixated on things that happened years ago, they need to move on. You're right. They need to acknowledge their blessings and they need to focus on the future, because this chapter's closed. People are done. People don't care anymore.
He's offering to pay for his own protection. He's not expecting a penny from the taxpayer. What's wrong with that?
Well, it makes a difference at last. He's coming off the public teat, is he? That guy, he's seeking grievance status. I mean, I want to be hard done by. That's his stick.
You think so?
Oh, spare us.
Spare us.